We are going to start language arts. I'm going to read a little bit of Flora in Ulysses. And then we are going, like the class is going to be making birthday cards for Dr. Moore. It's his birthday next week. So if you want to send one next week, he would be happy to have one a little late. So feel free to create a birthday card for Dr. Moore as well. Yes, I saw a hand up. The glare. Yes, Emma. I do believe it's Tuesday. Next Tuesday. That is why. What? No. Okay, friends, can we stop interrupting me? That is rude. Emma asked a question. She raised her hand. She did it the right way. I don't need all of these interruptions occurring. I do believe it's Tuesday. I'm going to find out for sure. The cards need to be done by Monday after school. So we have time to do it today. So we're going to do it today. All right? Since our language arts has changed. All right, chapter 17. I smell squirrel. So who remembers? It's been a while since we read this. Watch this. So who came over and who was discovered on the lamp by the mother? Who was hanging out on the lovely lamp? Jeremiah. Yes. Was the mother quite surprised? Yeah. Yes. And who came over to visit? In fact, here's the picture. Remember, of Ulysses on the lamp, looking very cute on a very ugly lamp.
Yeah, that lamp.
So remember, I'm trying to, Tootie, who is Tootie? Let's all put it together. Who is Tootie? Cole.
The person who Ulysses got sucked up was there.
Yes, the vacuum cleaner. So she came over and then all havoc broke out. All right, so I smell squirrel, chapter 17. There was a boy at the door. He was short, and his hair was so blonde that it looked almost white. I like to think it was Draco Malfoy on that when I heard that. His eyes were hidden beneath enormous dark glasses. In addition to terrible things can happen to you, the illuminated adventures of the amazing Incandesto regular featured a second bonus comic entitled The Criminal Element is Among Us. The Criminal Element gave very specific pointers on how to never, ever be fooled by a criminal. What is a criminal? Grayson.
Like somebody who robs banks and stuff?
Yes, breaks the law. M.
I finished the tissue box.
Oh, okay, I'll get another one. Thanks for letting me know. And one of the oft-repeated rules of the criminal element was that the best way to get to know a person was to look him or her directly in the eye. Flora tried to look the boy in the eye, but all she saw was a reflection of herself in his dark glasses. She looked short and uncertain, like an accordion in pajamas. William, said Tootie, I told you to stay put. I heard screaming, said the boy. His voice was high and thin. I was concerned. Came as fast as I could. Unfortunately, on the way over here, I had a small but extremely violent encounter with some variety of shrub. Remind me, isn't there a boy in the previews of the movie? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that maybe this is who is going to be in the movie. We're being introduced. Now I'm bleeding. Oh my. I think I'm bleeding. I'm pretty sure I smell blood, but no one should be concerned. Please don't overreact. This, said Tootie, is my nephew. Great nephew, said the boy. And I hope I don't need stitches. Do you think I need stitches? His name is William, said Tootie. William Spiever, actually, said Tootie's uncle. I prefer to be called William Spiever. It is distinguished. It distinguishes me from my multiplicity of Williams in the world, he smiled. It's a pleasure to meet you, whoever you are. I would shake your hand, but as I said, I think I'm bleeding. Also, I'm blind. You are not blind, said Tootie. I am suffering from a temporary blindness induced by trauma, said William Spieber. Temporary blindness induced by trauma. The words sent a chill down Flora's spine. Seemingly, there was no end to the things that could go wrong with human beings. Why hadn't terrible things can happen to you done an issue on temporary blindness induced by trauma? Or for that matter, one on extended hallucinations? I am temporarily blind, said William Spieber again. How unfortunate, said Flora's mother. He's not blind, said Tootie. But as of this morning, he is staying with me for the summer. Imagine my surprise and excitement. I have nowhere else to go, Great Aunt Tootie, said William Spieber. You know that. I am at the mercy of the winds of fate. Oh, said Flora's mother. She clapped her hands. How wonderful. A little friend for Flora. I don't need a little friend, said Flora. Of course you do, said her mother. She turned to Tootie. Flora is very lonely. She spends far too much time reading comics. I've tried to break her of that habit, but I'm very busy with my novel writing, and she is alone a lot. I'm worried that it has made her strange. I am not strange, said Flora. This seemed like a safe statement to make when someone as truly, profoundly strange as William Spieber was standing beside her. I would be happy to be your friend, said William Spieber. Honored. He bowed. What does it mean to bow? Somebody show me what it means to bow. And Owen, bow to each other. Owen and bow. Just bow. What does it mean to bow? Illustrate. Okay, I will bow. It's really not that big deal. Okay, Luke, bow. Oh, that was so difficult. Thank you.
That's so difficult.
All right. So that's interesting that he bowed. Now I have to find my spot. Okay. How lovely, said Flora's mother. Yes, said Flora. How lovely. The blind, said William Spieber, even the temporarily blind, have an excellent sense of smell. Oh, for heaven's sake, said Tootie. Here we go. I have to tell you that I smell something out of the ordinary. Something that is not usually smelled within the confines of a human domestic sphere. That's an interesting way of saying a house, said William Spieber. He cleared his throat. I smell squirrel. Squirrel? Confronted with the spectacle of William Spieber, they had forgotten about Ulysses. Flora and her mother and Tootie all turned and looked at Ulysses. He was still on top of Mary Ann. He had managed to balance himself on the small blue and green globe that was the center of the lampshade. That squirrel, said Flora's mother. He's rabid, diseased. He has got to go. Uh-oh. Here's no picture. Chapter 18, a scientific adventure. Ooh. Who do you think the scientific adventure is going to occur to? Do you think they're going to start making experiments on Ulysses? See if he has superpowers? Why don't you let me take the squirrel? Tootie said to Flora's mother. I'll just return him to the wild. If you can call the backyard the wild, said William Spieber. Hush up, William, said Tootie. She reached out for Ulysses. Don't touch it, shrieked Flora's mother. Not without gloves. It has some sort of disease. If you could just get me some gloves then, said Tootie, I'll pluck the squirrel off the lampshade and whisk him out of here and set him free. The kids can come along. It will be a scientific adventure. It doesn't sound very scientific to me, said William Spieber. Well, said Flora's mother, I don't know. Flora Bell's father is coming to pick her up for this Saturday visit. He'll be here any minute now, and she's still in her pajamas. Flora Bell, said William Spieber. What a lovely name. It will all take just a minute, said Tootie in a low, soothing voice. The kids can get to know each other. I'll get you some gloves, said Flora's mother. And so now, here they were, walking over to Tootie's, getting to know each other, or something. Tootie had a pair of dishwashing gloves that went all the way up to her elbows. The gloves were bright pink, and they glowed in a cherry, radioactive sort of way. In Tootie's gloved hands was Ulysses. Behind Tootie was Flora, and next to Flora was William Spiever. His left hand rested on her shoulder. And next, do you mind, Florabelle, he said. Would it be trouble you terribly if I put my hand on your shoulder and allow you to guide me back to Great Aunt Tootie's house? The world is a treacherous place when you can't see. Flora didn't bother pointing out that the world was a treacherous place when you could see. And speaking of treacherousness, things were not, in any way, progressing as Flora had planned. She had envisioned Ulysses fighting crime, criminals, villainy, darkness, treachery. She had imagined him flying through the world with her, Flora, at his side. Instead, here she was leading a temporarily blind boy through her own backyard. It was anticlimactic, to say the least. What does anticlimactic mean? Anticlimactic. Owen. What's the climax of a story? Meaning everything is rising to the peak of excitement, or something is happening and it's happening and it's happening, and you get to the climax and then it either ends or something happens. So if you, knowing that the climax is the peak of the story of excitement, what do you think anticlimactic would mean? Anticlimactic. Olivia. The what? Well, kind of. Yes. So if we're at the climax where it's really exciting and you're expecting it to be so awesome, what do you think anticlimactic would be? M. Boring. Disappointing. Jonathan. Terrible. So she said that this is anticlimactic because she was envisioning him being like a superhero squirrel. And now they're leading him to the wild. So this is anticlimactic. All right. Have you released the squirrel yet, Great Aunt Tootie? No, said Tootie, I have not. Why do I sense that there's more going on here than meets the eye? Said William Spiever. Just keep quiet until we get back to the house, William, said Tootie. Can you do that? Keep quiet for a minute? Of course I can, said William Spiever. He sighed. I'm an old pro at keeping quiet. Flora doubted very much that this was true. William Spiever squeezed her shoulder. May I inquire how old you are, Florabelle? Don't squeeze my shoulder. I'm 10. I am 11 years old, said William Spiever, which surprises me, I must say. I feel much, much older than 11. Also, I know for a fact that I am smaller than your average 11-year-old boy. It may even be that I'm shrinking. Excessive trauma can shorten growth. I'm not certain, however, if it can cause actual shrinkage. What was the trauma event that turned you blind, said Flora. I'd prefer not to discuss it right now. I don't want to alarm you. It's not possible to alarm me, said Flora. I'm a cynic. Nothing in human nature surprises a cynic. So you say, said William Spiever. The word cryptic popped into Flora's head. It was preceded by the word unnecessarily. Unnecessarily cryptic, said Flora out loud. I beg your pardon, said William Spiever. But then they were at Tootie's house. They were walking through her backyard into her kitchen, which smelled like bacon and lemons.
Ooh, bacon, yum, lemons.
Kind of an odd combination.
I don't like bacon.
You don't like bacon? I don't either.
It's not bacon's not good. It's not bacon.
I just don't.
I don't want pig either.
Tootie, put Ulysses down on the table. We're going to quit that conversation fast. I don't understand, said William Spiever. We're back at your house, but I can still smell the squirrel. Flora took the paper out of her pajamas. She handed it to Tootie. She felt like a spy, a successful spy, a triumphant spy. I'll bet a spy in pajamas. What's this, said Tootie. It's proof that you aren't the victim of extended hallucinations, said Flora. Tootie held the paper with both hands. She stared at it. Squirtle, he said. Squirtle? She said, Squirtle, said William Spiever. Keep reading, said Flora. Squirtle, said Tootie. I am Ulysses, born anew. See, said Flora. What does that prove? Said William Spiever. What does it even mean? The squirrel's name is Ulysses, said Tootie. Wait a minute, said William Spiever. Are you possessing that the squirrel typed those words? Possessing? Possessing? Yes, said Flora. That's exactly what I'm possessing. The hallucination extends, said Tootie. What hallucination? Said William Spiever. The squirrel as a superhero hallucination, said Tootie. Surely you jest, said William Spiever. Ulysses sat up on his hind legs. He looked at William Spiever and then at Tootie. And finally he turned his eyes to Flora. He raised his eyebrows and gave her a look full of questions, full of hope. Flora felt a pang of doubt. He was, after all, just a squirrel. She had no proof that he was a superhero. What if there was some other explanation for those words? Also, there was Tootie's disturbing point to consider. What kind of superhero types? And then she thought about Alfred, how everyone doubted him, and how no one except the parakeet Dolores knew that he was incandesto, and how no one except Dolores truly believed in him. Was it Flora's job to believe in Ulysses? And what did it make her? A parakeet? Let me get this straight, said William Spiever. You, a self-professed cynic, are persisting that the squirrel is a superhero? The words, do not hope, indeed observe, flitted through Flora's brain. She took a deep breath. She brushed the phase away. The squirrel typed those words, she said. Well, said William Spiever, whose hand was still on Flora's shoulder, why didn't he move his hand? Let's just approach this scientifically. I'll put the squirrel in front of Great Aunt Tootie's computer, and we'll ask him to type again. Oh, look at, there he is. He's on the typewriter, or on the computer. Is he going to type? That is the question. So that is where we're going to leave off. I know, it's fun. We're just getting to the good part.
Yeah.
So, this is what I want you all to do. At this time, we're going to make cards. If you want to participate and make cards for Dr. Moore, go for it. You can just send it. The Zillies will have a hard time making cards. But if Candace wants to make cards and send it in her Friday drop-off, you can. Cadence. I don't know. Sorry, Cadence.